don't know what the hell happened. He went goddamn crazy with Scrub for some reason because Oni and everybody. I have no clue what happened, but like 10 members completely went against Scrub. In fairness, he was not that active, and that's because he had stuff going on. But then they started accusing him of random stuff like pedophilia and stuff, which made him go on edge. And Vintage all of a sudden, goddamn, seemed manipulative as hell.
I see, I
And a
see.
lot of people already don't like Vintage, which already ruined his name even more. And I would guess you've seen the video of Vintage saying the N word in, what do you call it? The Phasmophobia?
Yes, I have been getting quite a lot of other things. Uh, this is completely. There's something else as well. This is all the completely unverified. One of our members from the IASO actually joined Dauntless PMC
What's good in
sometime
here?
in the. Oh, hello there.
Is
Yeah.
it?
I'm guessing you're also a person of interest
Or what?
IASO.
regarding whatever has been happening here.
I mean, I'm pretty aware of what happened, but I
All
guess
You
right.
just want like context. That's what you're saying.
Not on text, but something outside of text. I mean, you're all moderators, you're all high level members.
No, what I meant is context. Like you want like to know what's like currently happening. That's what I meant.
I'm here to investigate the issues at hand, per se, how deep
yeah.
the issue runs, and from how long it has been happening.
Hmm.
I'm to submit this to the lovely people at Platinum 5, and they will do what they do best.
Hmm.
That's all.
Okay, so
And if there are some things that need to be reported, as I stated earlier, I work with law enforcement personnel. And if there is something that requires my attention or the attention of any specific law enforcement authorities, I would be reporting it as well.
Okay.
Wait, is this just Roblox cops?
I cannot comment on
Uh.
that. Thank you very much.
So you're basically just Roblox cops.
No, not really.
Did.
Not really, cops. We are not.
Well, I can give you a basic rundown of what's happened in the past like day or two. So, um, our C5 has been looking, or the faction leader has been looking to retire, but there have been no applicable, how do I say this, candidates to receive the ownership. We've had one guy which has partially taken the ownership, and he's been doing a fine job, but unfortunately he decided to leave later on and hand it
Mhm.
back to the guy C5 Scrub who's looking to retire. Now he's he's been quite inactive, frankly, and he's not really denying it, which is why he's been pretty much looking for replacements. Now the big issue that happened, which caused all this drama, is that for some unknown idea, he had the intention of basically making it so that there are a couple candidates who would receive a trial, and once they've done their trial, they would basically there would be another person who would get the trial, and then once every candidate has had their time on the trial, then I assume the new owner or C5 would be elected. However, the issue happened in lack of communication between parties because the original expectations by default from everyone were that the trial C5 will be one individual selected by the C5, and if this individual does particularly well as during his trial,
Mhm.
then he will be the C5 for the remainder of the time, right? Those were the general expectations. So
All
as you
right.
can imagine, people were quite disturbed when it just so happened that um, the trial C5 vintage at this time has been switched out for another person, which no one expected why this is. So they all instantly thought that he was basically done for, like, oh, he didn't do a good job, so we're taking away his C5, um, which wasn't really the case. But you can see how that started the
Yeah,
rally,
I
and so
I saw
and
some
so yeah,
things.
and so what has because of this, obviously, Vintage and his friends, Oni, Doc, Kanta, Down Ducky from, well, previously UKSF. I don't know what they renamed it to. Frag, the guy from Blackout. They're all like friends together. They didn't like that very much, so they got fed up because Scrub wouldn't really give the ownership to anyone, right? And he was like, he wasn't too active and he wasn't trying his best to really give ownership to someone else, and this was taking forever. So they've decided that they're going to form a document that would basically go over his absence, inactivity, and just the overall damages from this, really, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the guy himself apparently has been going through some things in real life, which was the core issue for his absence. But, that is another story in itself, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they wrote this document. They started writing this document, these guys, like, that I've listed before. And it was all, like, surprisingly going well. I mean, they were just gathering information, asking people about his inactivity and stuff. And from what I can recall, uh, I went to bed, and the next morning that I woke up, what I've seen was basically a raid conducted from like all these people that are in some way or form affiliated with, either affiliated or have been given initiative by the people who took part in writing the document. Like, not all of them, but there is like association because they had like a group voice chat, whatever. They spoke all in the VC, and this one guy, like there are a couple people maybe that you can ask about this. You can get a clarify it and confirm it with other people. Let me check really quickly. I've pinned this guy in general. I don't know if you have access to general. If you
I
look in general, this
do
do
have
you?
access to it. Yep.
Okay, so this guy Dutch. This is the one person that I've automatically like found just saying it in general. Says he's witnessed it. He's witnessed it as they were all screaming and laughing about it and how they're all disgusting. Because what they basically started doing is they gathered like a lobby of people. And these people were not just the original people. The original people who were writing the document did not really take part themselves in this vulgar behavior in the text channel, as you can see. But
Mm-hmm.
you can tell here. I can really like stream it to you if you wanted me to. I've like deleted a lot of messages today, but there it is. So you can just see there's like a shit ton of stuff with people accusing him of being a pedophile as well, which is something that's been I don't know if it's made up, I don't know if it's real. I honestly don't know, but I would doubt it. Apparently, from what's happened is, from what I'm getting at, is the guy complimented a girl who had a boyfriend. He told her that she was
Mm-hmm.
beautiful and lucky to have a boyfriend or something. And apparently, that's all I know. Apparently, that there's maybe more to that, but that's from what I know. For me, that seems really insufficient to be accusing someone of pedophile for that. Um, you know, but I guess each to their own. So
All
you
right.
just see there's like a shit ton of people just spamming, "You're a pedophile, fuck you, revolution, suck my ass, fuck you, suck our dicks, you're a pedophile, um, that's crazy," and you got all these people just saying out this shit.
All
And
right.
so what it looks like is that
Also,
it essentially devolved into just degenerate behavior and insults in general chat, basically turning into a raid of sort. And so this guy apparently got overwhelmed. I mean, clearly from all
Mm-hmm.
of this, and he just made a statement that he's going to be killing himself, that he's done with this. And apparently somebody leaked information from what's going on in his personal life, that he's been evicted and that he's like had relationship problems with his girlfriend or something, and apparently like that is what he also stated, you know that has taken effect on his mental health or something, and now
Mm-hmm.
and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he disappeared after that. He gave the ownership to C5 Xerxio. The This guy has been in Dauntless for quite a while, so he definitely knows what's up in here.
All right.
He isn't certainly the most active individual, but he is, he reads his messages and responds. But, it's not like anyone can be active now, considering there's nothing happening. If you have any questions for like the background, like any other details regarding that, you can ask
There
me.
is something that was one of the primary reasons I actually was sent here. You see, I
Yeah.
specialize in finding people who are, you know, I wouldn't say mentally disturbed, but they have a kind of like this pathological need to send gore content
Oh.
in
That.
DMs.
Oh no, I've not. No, no. I.
And
Yeah.
so IASO sent a guy before me
Mhm.
about probably like 2, maybe 3 months ago,
Yeah.
and he found out that someone was sending Scrub
Yeah.
child pornography.
They were sending them that.
Yes, and I want to know
Okay.
who this person was. Who was giving
So.
him or spamming him with gore and child
Okay.
pornography? Because I need to make sure
Yeah.
this person gets
So.
arrested
Uh,
ASAP.
okay. So. From my personal knowledge, I've never heard, maybe didn't reach out to me, maybe I've missed out on it. I've never heard these rumors or allegations so far. Scrub himself has never really um complained to anyone that I know or that I've heard really at all about this. If he
Mhm.
was to receive such things, I assume he would by default block them or something. He doesn't really seem like the type of person to make a fuss about it. He usually does things on his own accord and doesn't go out of his way to like start contacting anyone or stuff
Mhm.
like that. He
Mhm.
would most likely most likely he would just block them. So I mean, the only way we would know about this is if we asked him ourselves. But I doubt he would really respond, or we don't really know. Apparently, he says he's killed himself. So um, I wouldn't be able to, speak in his name or tell you if he'll ever say anything on Discord again, because apparently he just keeps saying that he's gonna kill himself and not responding to anyone. So, but
All
um,
right.
but I'm assuming you're here just for those purposes of just finding individuals who are sending child pornography and gore. Those are
No,
your primary
there's
interests.
there's other reasons as well, but I can't really, talk about them to you because I have talked with other people as well, and
Okay.
so
Well, if I can assist you with any information or be of any help, do let me know, and I'll let you know more insight on what's going on in detail.
all
Because
right. So
you know,
how does the ranking system here at Dauntless PMC works? What are the like? How would you categorize what rank is higher?
um, so here, give me a second, right? Basically, Arkin, if you know better, you might know better about this than I do, because I've not really ascended V after L ranks, but we got the standard L ranks after you pass the basic training. You keep leveling up in L ranks all the way to, L13.
Mm-hmm.
Now, along the way, I believe after reaching a certain rank, like L7 or L6, after reaching those ranks, I think you can apply for NCOs. If you get accepted, you become a probationary officer, which for some reason has been right now renamed to NCO cadet. I assume they remain the same purpose. But once you're on probation, you will basically be supervised. You'll host events. If you're going to be judged by several higher ranking members, I don't know who are the people who are judging. I don't know if they're the officers or higher end ranks. Arkin, if you happen to know, please confirm. Um,
Sorry, repeat that.
so who judges the probationary officers? Like the
C rank.
C ranks,
Yeah.
not officers?
No.
Okay, that's a bit strange because I do recall that it happened, but okay. And once they've ascended, they'll after that basically we had these little trial things for officer where people would get tested, like they would all have to it's basically like scheduled. It would happen like in that month that it's scheduled, and during this time there'd be a lot of attendees, and each of the NCOs would host their little short event in like a chain order, like one after the other, and they'll be all like supervised and judged, and That's, I believe, when they get probationary officer or something like that. But it's not really like a big of a difference with the officers and NCOs. They are mostly just hosting events. The officers kind of just uh, make for a supervisor above regular NCOs. They're supposed to maybe help out with the faction or something, but I'm not too sure about that. I can't confirm you. Now the CCs basically they're selected. They're oftentimes selected by another, most of the times by the C5, I believe. They've been so far only selected by C5. They can be suggested to the C5 by other CC members or other people, like voted on or something like that. But usually they're like handpicked. And what they do most of the times is they work in like logistics and stuff on improvising new things in the faction, adding new stuff and overhauling things, making sure they run smoothly, trying to uh, fix any cut corners and, you know, just improve everything at all, from ranging from tryouts to uniforms, gun attachments that would be permitted, armory, weapons, and all that stuff. Basically, they are the ones who are going to be seeing how that's done. They can, like, check how accreditation is done. Like if they want to maybe make it better so that the requirements for doing it, they can write a new accreditation, the new basically try out for that accreditation, so it would be like different or something if they think that would be better, and then people would have their say. People don't like it, then it'd go back to the old thing. But yeah, we have divisional commanders as well, but they aren't really associated too much with the other ranking structure. You have to be just like an officer or something to have divisional commander, but that's it.
All right. There is another thing I wanted to ask.
Hmm.
Where is the document gone? There it is. Okay. Interesting. Where is Mr. Arkin? Is he still here?
I think he is.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Mr. Arkin. One of our previous members who investigated Dauntless PMC on a completely different issue entirely, said that you are a person who exhibits racist opinions.
Arkin?
Wait, what matter? In what way?
Uh, Allow me to grab the particular snippet.
Do I have and does
If you can
anybody have
quote
anything
me,
on
that would
me?
be better.
Zephyr, shut up. Hold on.
The people involved in this particular incident are as follows. There is someone by the name of Doc. There's someone by the name of Vintage,
Yeah.
Jumbo, Arkin, 16, Oni, Jules, and Clover.
Who's
According
the last person?
Clover.
Clover. Clover, yeah.
These,
I don't remember that name, but I think I do know. who
these
the
people
person
have
was.
been told to have racist outlooks within the faction.
Are there
Uh,
any specifics, like examples listed, something that we can go off of?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, if you can like quote me, because I don't.
Was
I don't
there
mind.
at any point in time a mention of a Dauntless Minecraft server?
So,
Minecraft servers have always been like a regular thing, yeah.
but they've not been quite ever made officially.
The proper
Posted on.
date I'm looking for is the. It is. Wait a minute. It's the 9th of August
2021?
2021. Yep, exactly.
Oh yeah, then you should
2021?
ask me.
What happened there?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
only
looking
going
at this
on.
part of
What?
So back then, when Prox, Vintage, and a few others made a Minecraft server, the Dauntless activity went down, and from what I heard from those guys, I know, just shut up for a bit. Apparently they had a huge argument and shit, and I'm pretty sure racial stuff got out.
Yeah, I have not been present at that time, so I would not be able to confirm on any of that.
If it's anything
So,
below May last year, I was not a part of because I was never even part of the server or part of the community in VR.
All right. Is that
yeah,
all
right.
you'd
I'm gonna have
say
to go to sleep
for
soon.
your defense? I mean,
Well,
I'm
I,
not.
I haven't heard any. I haven't heard anything like uh, like you're saying that I did something, but you haven't told me on it, so I don't know exactly what I did.
Uh,
Like if you can like quote me on what I said, because
the
I
the
don't recall ever
best
saying anything
the
racist.
best thing I could say, or the best thing I have, or rather, my colleague found was guilty by approximation. And
Guilty by approximation.
yes, you what I understand is from then you were an O1 rank.
Or I was an officer. Yeah, I recall being an officer, but I don't recall this incident. Don't even have context of what the incident is.
I can most of the stuff I can't really talk about this. Uh, okay.
I mean, I can testify if you want about Arkin. I've known him for quite some time in this
Mhm.
faction, and um, quite frequently he's been pretty chill. He oftentimes preferred to host more lenient, relaxed patrols over the serious ones, so he was never the guy that would get his temper up or anything and say childish or outlandish things. So
All right.
I'm actually really curious on how Art can get onto that list.
All right. I'm not pointing fingers. I just want to keep an open mind, which is why I'm very
Yeah.
open to the idea of people, blaming each other. Like this person's doing that or that person did this. I am not gonna
Yeah,
blame
yeah, no, I
anyone for
understand that. Yeah,
anything. I'm keeping a very open mind about this. I just want to understand what happened. I just want to understand the side of stories from each individual involved, and yeah,
Well,
that's
I've
just it.
given you the story on what has happened in the past 2 days, but I'm not sure what particular other stories you would be interested in to expand on.
Okay, let's go down the list again. Interesting individual, vintage.
Mhm.
As to my understanding, vintage was chosen to be a trial T5, which is
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
faction, like a director post or like a faction leader kind of a position.
Yes.
And what stuff I have gathered from by talking to community members, other moderator members, administrators, builders, and other junior ranking members is that Vintage was someone who is considered to be a manipulative individual. Why would someone like Scrub nominate Vintage for a trial C5 position if he was considered to be manipulative?
Okay, so
I,
Arkin,
well,
are you gonna
the
go?
regard of the regard of vintage being manipulative, it's like really how do I explain it? It's not really based on anything. He the only manipulation that he's ever or or behavior of that kind would be not really anything that I could think of at the back of my mind. So he's never really shown any type of behavior like that. At least like to my knowledge. There are people who certainly do follow him and do believe in in what he says, but he doesn't speak like a what's it called, like a preach, or like he's like some kind of saint. Like he just talks like he just says like, oh yeah, this like in situations of the faction, he just says like, yeah, this needs to change. This to change, and people listen to him.
Yeah, he did surveys
He
basically.
Yeah, basically, but it was never like really him like doing any type of
All right, I understand.
I mean, if you deem being charismatic manipulative, I guess. But on a serious note,
it is a form of implying it, but it isn't like
I wouldn't
a
call
straight up
being
like,
charismatic manipulative. I'd say it's more of a delegative quality. But
yeah,
all right,
exactly.
that solves that. The list.
but if you want to know why he was
Yeah,
put
no,
as
no,
a
the
C5,
list.
There's
so
allegedly a list by Vintage where he has collections of incriminating sentences or chats against members high up within Dauntless PMC. Is that correct?
mm,
And these are
so
things that he
Allegedly,
has
yes.
used.
Allegedly,
so
yes.
so
Allegedly,
what his
yes. Okay.
method
Allegedly,
is.
yes. AC.
Oh,
Yeah,
what?
allegedly.
Okay. But yeah, there have been accusations of the N word frequently. So other than that,
All right. All right.
Yeah,
not really.
there has been accusations of that type of things
All
being
right. All right.
done. Yeah, but that would be have to
Do
be
you,
spoken to him.
does anyone have any sort of proof of this list? Any mention of
No,
this list, or was it just hypothesized that there could be a list in existence? Has anyone
the
seen
only
it or?
mention,
Mhm.
the only the only mention of it that I've anybody here, at least to my knowledge, because I don't think AC has ever like gone that far to talking to vintage. Only type of uh, uh, existence of this type of text
Mhm.
would be not only like joke about in the conversation, it would be spoken in the VC, like in the voice chat. So nobody really ever recorded that type of thing. So
All
at least
right.
to my knowledge, I personally have never recorded that. But it has been mentioned before on voice chats, but it's never like really been. It's been mentioned jokefully in jokes in voice chats, but it's never been like shown any proof of it.
I do have a question for you. So there have been like I would say, if you would will well threats or whatever of
Mhm.
quote you know affiliatives being sent to perform inspections and stuff within Dauntless, mostly from the side which has written the expose document on Scrub. So I'm just curious because all these questions sometimes seem uh, either sided. Well, I don't know. These last few ones kind of against those individuals. So I don't know if you're uh, whom you've been working with really, like which side, where are you coming from?
I don't work with any side. I work with the side of law enforcement. The only reason I've asked these questions are to form a baseline, and according to that baseline, I will determine what I seek to find out here.
Hmm.
You can ask the person who actually created our entire setup in the first place. He's literally one VC down.
Hmm.
It's Sybil, actually.
I
Sybil.
see. So are you mostly affiliated with FactProb, or like where is it that you like?
Actually, no, I'm affiliated with the IAC, which is the Alliance Collaboration Hub. And it's basically kind of like I would say, a community organization where we work with law enforcement agents to help curb online predatory action, sexual harassment, cyberterrorism, cybercrime in some assets, sharing of child pornography,
Mhm.
hacking, nuking, IPs being stolen, IPs being
Yeah, yeah,
grabbed,
yeah.
stuff like that, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
It was originally created as a funding group for small factions so that they could afford private servers. We still do that to this date, but it is handled by a different branch of ours. Every every major, I'd say, region has its own branch. I'm from the IASO. My branch mainly caters to the Asian factions. UK has its own branch, Australia has its own branch, North America and South America
All
has
right.
its own branch, respectively.
So to get the idea, one of the or per se members from Dauntless has reached out to you through that Discord server.
Four specific people have reached out. Two of them are ex-moderators. One of them is a active officer, and
Yeah.
another one is a low-ranking member who's still here.
All right.
Moving on to the next question. Do tell me if this term means anything to you. Dauntless shade.
No, I do
No.
not recall hearing it.
So
Can you
that
elaborate?
document was made in early 2023 by Ryan Zurich, which was the original founder of Dauntless, and some of his friends, because during that time, HiCom was very corruptive. They started banning people. So Prox and some of his friends were banned with evidence which were taken from a private
Oh yes. Can I
hangout
please remember?
server,
Can I
which
just
were,
add to this?
yeah, sure.
Oh,
Sure.
I remember speaking to Prox actually. Now I didn't know it was part of that document or anything, but I do remember him telling me being banned because there's been like this joke thing where people would sent like this basically picture or whatever, like a bait meme whatever, and they tell you to like type in this slash command whatever, and it basically edits
Bypassed. Yeah.
it doesn't really bypass it. It just edits the last message. So if you say cheese pizza, it would remove the letters or something, and then it would make it say CP. And he did that, just not giving a fuck, like just
I have
not
no
caring.
idea about that, but
And then they used that. They screenshotted that, and they used it against him.
So
To
exactly
contradict
that. I want to know who on earth is doing the CP shit. Please.
I'm actually
Who
not like
started it originally? I need the name of the person. Because
sending
at that point
CP.
I would know if this is something that needs law enforcement intervention.
back in 2022, one of our members sent it a cockpit to someone else, but he was banned. Now he has no connection to Dauntless whatsoever or anything associated to us. Other than that, we never had another incident related to that. And in the yesterday's raid or whatsoever, no one really mentioned about CPs during that
Yeah.
time, but they only
Mhm.
mentioned about how Scrub told a girl that she's beautiful or she's cute or beautiful.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And
that's what they taken
both
to.
parties, the two different type of parties named Vintage and Kantia, they're saying something else. Someone is giving a different date. Kantia saying that the girl is 16, 17. Vintage saying that the girl is 12 or 13. So they don't know themselves like what to say as well.
All right,
That
all
But
may
it
be
right.
wasn't.
fabricated information, but I highly doubt somebody who has a girlfriend themselves and is that old would be of any interest to flirting with a minor that is currently in an active relationship with
Uh,
probably, I don't know,
Yeah.
another minor or
well, you
something.
never know the people and the mentalities you find
Yeah,
online.
but those probabilities do kind of stack up.
They do stack up indeed. Thank you very much. And I just have one last question. So, the ISO also deals in procuring factions. I'm not sure if you've heard this, but I'm going to tell it to you right now. With the amount of money that the ISO provides to minor factions to upkeep, their private servers, we have enough money to buy out servers. So, in case in the future, if something like this happens, where the drama gets stretched to this point again, I am just going to say this, that there might be some people coming here who will try their very best to buy this server. And on that point, what would your opinion be?
So obviously, they would contact the owner. Now, I don't know how would be that any aid whatsoever, but quite frankly, when you purchase something and you change leadership, obviously people will change their opinions on the command and probably on the faction itself. However, the greater
Mhm.
question that I would think would be whether or not it would be morally right for somebody who has just taken the ownership to accept that money, as I believe the most applicable person for that or eligible person for that would be the ones that have contributed the most into making the faction what it is, essentially
All right, all right.
ignoring all the, because apparently, Prox or this guy that originally made Dauntless, I don't know if he made the most contribution towards growing this group. So really somebody that like temporarily would, I don't know, let's say Vintage, Oni, whoever gets C5 randomly one day and they sell the group, I think that would be kind of like a bit fucked because the person who made all of this shit gets not a dime, and they've put way more effort into making that thing. Even though they've essentially and eventually resigned, I still deem them to be more eligible for receiving any payments on purchasing that. But they cannot really have a say in it since they are retired and they no longer, you know, have command in the server. So, but yeah, that would pretty much be my opinion on that. So, if you're looking to buy Dauntless, if that's what you're
I'm not
trying to
looking.
indirectly ask, then
No, no.
obviously best way to go about it is asking the people who are in command of it because we can't really have a
I
say in
don't
that.
have the power to initiate a merger or an acquisition. That's out of my hands. If that does happen, well, it happens, I guess. But I'm telling you, where we've had incidences in the past where the faction leaders themselves have been grooming their own faction members, and it has gotten to a point of no return, where we had to pretend to be people interested in buying child pornography, go to the
What?
faction leader,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay,
and
yeah, go on.
initiate a transaction to trace his bank account to then get him arrested by the cyber cell.
I see. I see.
We've done it, and
Yeah.
it's not really welcoming.
Yeah,
It
I
takes a
was
toll.
assuming that what you were trying to say is like genuinely just purchasing, or like if you're looking for eligible factions to purchase, and would the
No,
members
no,
be
no,
considered
no,
or
no,
not? But yeah,
no, no.
okay, I get what you're saying. All right, well, but I mean, listen, right? Like you can investigate scrub as much as you like for CP, like, but I mean, I don't know how you'd go about it, but like, if he turned out, that'd be pretty crazy to me, cause that'd be like he'd be one of the last people I think could would do that, especially with
The thing is, what I believe, or what our editors believe, is that he was being driven to a point of self-immolation or the suicide.
yeah.
Do you think anyone in the server, or rather specifically any of the faction representatives, external members, could have done this?
So I think his initials and the initiative for doing this was not necessarily related to this group. However, it gave base grounds for other things, such as the activity within this group to contribute towards those thoughts furthermore. So I would say that there have been some pretty serious contributions made yesterday, which are not good contributions, don't get me wrong, towards tempting him towards doing suicide yesterday from a lot of people that have I've composed a little file thing. Now, not all of these individuals have been telling them specifically or instructing him to commit suicide, but they have in other way or words participated in the raid by spamming the chat and including inappropriate information, either accusations of calling him a pedophile based off the whatever little information that they might have. What is more crazy to me is that the people that half of the people, if not more, that taken part in this have been just included in the lobby and had very little information or concept of what's actually going on, and they just saw fit to take part in it because for whatever personal interest, if it's just satisfying to them or if it feeds them to do such things.
Right.
But yeah, I would say that there has been contributions. If you want me, I will show you some of the screenshots and things I've collected of basically just individuals who participated in the raid, and you can judge it yourself. I've deleted quite a lot from. I've screenshotted most of it, but basically I've deleted a lot of the stuff that has happened during the raid. There are screenshots of it
Mm-hmm.
still, so if you want, you can see it. But there are people telling him to hand over the ownership, people telling him to resign, people telling him that he's a bachelor, or I gotta turn on my suppressor for 1 second. All right. People advertising the news server, and then you had people who were just like spamming revolution. And other than that, really, it was mostly the same.
Mm-hmm.
There were some people who were like, "Oh, I have no empathy for what's going on," and like, "Oh, I wouldn't really care," and shit like that. But I don't think he's like analyzed it in that detail, but I mean I'm sure it has gotten to him the baseline once. So if you want, I'll stream you what I screenshotted and deleted. My goal was mainly to wipe out today's well yesterday's incident so that I would have like a little, I'd say, log or whatever of it. But hold on. So I'm sorry, I was just screenshotting some of the individuals that later apologized for what they did because it shows confession because they're apologizing. But you know, see, I mean, you can just judge this yourself, right? But um, I have made like a folder for each one of the individuals. I compliment her looks, blah blah blah. If you want to read that, like I'm scrolling, kind of. I'm not giving you enough time to read all of this, but I don't know how interested you are in analyzing the screenshots. But yeah, you could say there have been contributions. Just I don't know who would you blame for that, or how would you you know consider it, because I mean you can scroll through general and see if you find anything. Like here we have this guy just posting shit. Like I don't know what are you looking for in specific here? Yeah, see this type of stuff. This was kind of mostly the case, but not everyone was this extreme. You there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm actually writing some things here and there.
Writing the things from the screenshots, or
I'm not writing that. I'm actually writing my report as I go along.
okay. I mean, should I keep scrolling through these screenshots, or
I'm not taking any screenshots whatsoever. I am just recording our conversation. There are
no, because you asked me about the stuff that happened yesterday and if it has contributed towards him wanting to commit suicide. So I've been like going over
Yes.
these screenshots for you to judge whether or not you deem these to, well,
If
really.
I may say anything about it. So the thing is that this is not the first time Scrub has tried to kill himself. This is the third time. He has also done this. The second time he did it was like a month ago, in which he said that he's gonna kill himself, and during that time he passed the admin perms to Muller. He was a guy who just left some weeks ago. Not the ownership. He'll give it to Muller for some time and just vanished for a good 1 or 2 weeks. He said that he cut himself off, and at early 2023, he also stated that he's gonna kill himself. So yeah, he has done this 3 times this year.
All right. Is it possible for anyone within the faction to believe that this is another one of Scrub's attempts, and this will also not result in him killing himself?
Well, I cannot confirm that. I mean, I certainly wouldn't push forward for people to tempt him into doing that, because it's
Mm-hmm.
just a question of how many times will it be a joke? How many of times will he say, haha, what a fucking, I'm quoting this. My bad. I'm quoting this something just like, haha, what a fucking idiot. He's doing this shit again, pulling the victim card and blah blah blah, end quote. And then, you know, at one point, what if he actually chooses to do something? Because apparently he did cut himself, but how far? Like, why would we want to test this? Why would we want to test this theory? Like, obviously it wouldn't be good for him to lie about that in the first place and use it as a way to get attention, but it is
Mm-hmm.
also not shouldn't it be a place for people to test him on that theory, whether or not he would actually do it, because I think that is kind of a sick-minded idea to try that out. But people could tell him, hey, you've been doing this a lot, man, like stop doing this. But like this, like what happened yesterday was kind of extreme. But you know how
Personally,
certain we are that
I'm
he will
looking.
do that, I don't know. I doubt it, but I wouldn't also test it either myself.
All right.
I wouldn't say he would certainly kill himself. Like, I wouldn't say that it's going to be certain, but like I said, I'm not going to see how far that's gonna go. I mean, obviously, he, every time he does that, he's clearly like mentally disturbed or some shit, which is, obviously. But I don't know. How would you expand on this?
All right.
No, I'm sorry to just pop into this, but what's going on right now? Like, what are you talking about? So
Uh,
we've
it's a modicum of quite a lot of things that has been happening over the past few days, ranging from a few days to a few weeks to months, and probably maybe half an year.
so since I started, basically.
Probably since before, like quite a time before since you started.
Yeah. I mean, you got my DMs, so yeah.
Well, I do have the information in your DMs. Thank you for that.
No worries. I'm always happy to get one more scum off Discord.
Well, thank you, and we will take care of said scum of Discord.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's
Right.
well, that's what I do.
So,
Mm,
so
mm.
I have, I think I have information on who started the mass pinging and spamming on general chat. Like I can give a name.
Yeah,
I
but
can
that
only remember
doesn't.
one.
I don't think
I
that the thing is that I don't think that correlates to anything that
it would
I
be
mean,
relates
yeah,
incriminating.
unrelated to
Would be.
the current issue, but if it's something that you think fits in any of the categories that would require law enforcement intervention, please send it my way in my DMs. Uh,
You wanna
sure. But
apparently Donut did it. Donut apparently started it.
who?
yeah, donut start.
Donut,
Donut.
yeah.
It's just some.
Donut is
Well,
the
who?
owner of Raytheon Contractors and a
Yeah.
director at the FOB social platform related to BR5.
I have not heard that name before.
It's like FactProv, but a very, very small version. A very small version.
Oh, so it's like IASO, but no outreach. All right.
Yeah, he did participate in the raid yesterday quite a lot. So
All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Where's the other one? All right. That's all the time I have for today. Thank you all for your assistance.
before you go though, I would like to say, in terms of actual law enforcement,
Mm-hmm.
I doubt there's if you the only like applicable reason that I would see right now is maybe if you guys are looking into investigating whether or not this guy would actually kill himself, but for all this CP stuff and all this score stuff, it's been mostly not really that present to my knowledge. So yeah,
It might not be present in the general chats. I'm more worried
yeah.
about
I
what
know.
happens behind the scenes in DMs or in officer chats
Yeah.
that is not readily accessible by certain ranks, you know?
Oh, an officer? No, no, not
No,
in the
officer
actual
chats are clean. I can stream
They're
it to
clean?
you. Every single
Alright.
chat right
maybe
now.
Yeah.
I
DMs
can
and
stream it.
GCs.
Okay, okay.
But yeah.
I mean, in officer chat, I was an officer before,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just straight up dead in there. Like, we only had two officers, me and another guy,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody else was talking. They're
The
like, we
most
weren't even talking.
active chat out of every single one was the NCO chat, in which just NCOs were talking out with each other. But in officer chat, high com chat, or NCO chat, there weren't any things related to CPs or gore.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mm. And even if something happened in the NCO chat, I most likely have already warned the personnel and deleted it. As at the time I was still a moderator, but I left Dauntless for some health reasons. And obviously the shit show that was going on.
Alright. Let me just end the recording. 53 minutes. Excellent.